Hi everyone, my name is Vanya and this is our Sprint 1 review. So our goal for Sprint 1 was three parts. The first part was to get set up and familiar with the new processes, including Scrum, GitHub, and Memoranda. And we definitely achieved that goal. We're much more familiar with the Scrum process and conducting daily Scrums and building our Scrum board and tracking our Scrum board. We're much more familiar with GitHub. We had a couple issues in the beginning, but we've come up with our own quality policies that everyone follows in terms of branching and pulling and sending pull requests. And then Memoranda we've become much more familiar with as well, and we've started to learn the different components of the program and how the different components work together. The second part of our goal was to fix the initial bugs that were presented with the original Memoranda code. And the third part of our goal was to deliver more business value by adding functionality to the program. So those last two parts of the goal were definitely achieved as well. And if we go through our Scrum board for the sprint, we can see the different user stories and tasks that helped fulfill those goals. All of our user stories were closed by the end of the sprint, and we will actually go look at the program now. So one of the user stories was to have a splash screen and the title of the program show a new logo and name upon opening the program. And once I run this program, you'll be able to see that as it opens. So there's our backsplash and our logo for the program. And that was a user story to add business value, and that one was completed by Sean. Going back, our first two user stories were mostly bug fixes from the original code. So the first user story was to display symbols and language correctly. Initially, this was displaying in a foreign language. So Sarah worked on this user story for us and translated all of these text fields into English. The second user story was to be able to exit the program correctly, which Ross and Mike worked on for us. And then the fourth user story was to be able to minimize the program correctly, which Sean worked on for us. So if we go back to the program, you can see we can minimize and reopen it without a problem, and we can also close the program without a problem. User story number 6 was to be able to view the build and version numbers, and if you look down here you can see the version and build numbers, and that was worked on by both Sarah and Sean. And then user story number 7 starts to add business value. This was worked on mostly by Ross and I. Ross worked on the back end for the driver data, and I worked on the front end for this whole panel GUI. And we also got help from both Sean and Michael. Sean helped us create this new bus driver dialog that pops up whenever you want to add a new driver. And let's just add a new driver here for a test run. So you can see you can add the driver name and phone number. It says he was added to the system. We'll close that out and refresh the page, and you can see Ross is added. And one other cool thing that you can do is if you close the program and open it up again, you can see that Ross is still saved as a bus driver. So that part of the file storage and the data storage was implemented by Michael. And one other user story that we worked on was kind of a bug fix, kind of a business value. We cleaned up the preferences dialog so that it was less confusing and got rid of that look and feel section. And Ross worked on that for us. And then the last user story was being able to open the preferences dialog, which you saw I just did, and that was worked on by Michael. So all in all, we completed our sprint goal. We delivered a lot of value. We were able to close out all of our user stories, and we believe it was a very successful sprint for us. And we hope the next sprint goes just as well. Thanks.